Welcome everyone. Welcome to this presentation, and this presentation is about 8 key tech trends in a post-COVID-19 world. I'm going to start my presentation by introducing myself and talk a little bit about my background, and then after that one we're going to dive into all the 8 trends. And I want everybody to understand that this is not limiting the trends of technology to the 8. Those are really the trends that will accelerate faster than the others. There are others that will catch up with it, but looking at the big spectrum of technology, I picked those 8 tech trends after some research, and it seems to be like they are really performing a lot when it comes to post-COVID-19 world. A little bit about myself here. I don't know if everybody can see that. I teach at San Jose State University in San Jose, California. My focus is about Internet of Things, blockchain, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. That's my research. I'm also something called the media expert at San Jose State, where I meet with the media nationally and internationally and answer the question about technology. That's why you see all the stations here and the screenshot of my interviews. I did almost with all of them, with no exception of the stations there, even some in the Arab board like Al Arabiya and the rest. I published 2 books. One of them is this book, which is this book is talking about. I'm trying to minimize this one here. Okay, good. Is about secure and smart Internet of Things using blockchain and artificial intelligence. It's actually on the shelves of 584 universities in the United States and international. Won 3 awards, and also it's in the Library of Congress. The same book translated into Chinese. It's exactly the same one. And then I have this book, which I wrote this book in 2020, and it's ended up on 434 universities and colleges shelves. It's won 2 awards so far. My 3rd book will be about quantum computing. It's coming in 2020. Okay, this is a little bit about myself. Let's move on to the 8 key tech trends in a post-COVID-19. I'll give you an overview of them, and then we can talk in details. One of the things that all of us have seen, or at least in the United States, that when we talk about COVID-19 is the fact that if you're not ready digitally, or if you don't have a digital readiness, your business will be gone. We have hundreds and hundreds of businesses closed down, thousands and thousands of restaurants and retails and businesses, they shut down completely in the United States. Why? Because they never thought about that there will be a pandemic that will shut them down completely from the customers, and they have to rely on online. And they don't have the infrastructure to do that. We've seen it in so many examples of the companies. I mean, one of the big companies that it's won the after the pandemic or during the pandemic is Amazon, Amazon.com, where you can buy everything online. Target, which is a well-known name here in the United States, they catch up with them. Walmart did the same thing. They were ready with the case of the digital infrastructure. And things that we planned to do in 5 years, we did it in 5 weeks. Why? Because there's no time. You have to go and have this digital infrastructure. So considering COVID-19 pandemic is as the ultimate catalyst for digital transformation, and digital transformation is a well-known term in business. You change everything into digitization. Everything is online. You don't have to have paper. You have everything done automatically. You have signatures, you have copies, everything sent. And this has accelerated several major trends. This is what we're going to talk about it today. And I don't think this is going to be for a short term. This is going to continue, forever. The theaters here, the movies, the cinemas are they're suffering big time. Why? Because people found out that streaming and sitting home and watching the streaming shows is more convenient. You don't have to go, you don't have to drive, park, pay, and and go and pay for an expensive food over there, and they couldn't recover from that. That's why they try in a different way. They're trying to have their own streaming services. This pandemic has forced many businesses to reduce, suspend their operations, which has affected their bottom line. It's also accelerated the development in some of the emerging technologies. And those are really based on reducing the human-to-human contact, automating the process, increasing the productivity. So what are those 8 trends? Number 1 is artificial intelligence. It's going to go forward and nothing will stop it. Cloud computing is another trend that you're going to see big thing about. Just think about Zoom. We are using a different service, GoToMeeting. I use it many times in the past. But Zoom itself as a service went from 26 million users in January every week to 300 million users in 90 days. And then we're talking about VR and AR, virtual reality, augmented reality. And we are talking about 5G and this fascinating concept of voice user interface, and then Internet of Things, cybersecurity, and blockchain. All of this one are part of the process here. And this is where I want to, I want to explain this one a lot and make sure that everybody understands it. When you talk about artificial intelligence in 10 years, the products that coming from AI, using AI embedded within those products and services will contribute to more than $15.7 trillion of the global economy. From intelligent data processing, face and speech recognition, you name it. All of these things will be part of the services that use them, not only for security or for ID, for so many things that's going to be used, in the future. Now let's talk about the post-COVID-19. Consumer behavior changed forever. It's not going to go back to the same thing. A lot of people who are afraid of the online concept, they found themselves using it because this is the only way for them to get anything delivered. The service DoorDash, which is a well-known food delivery service, they went through the roof with their, with their services, because what they have done is they've been delivering 555 meals every minute. And people found this one very, very convenient. So why you want to leave and change? So how can the AI help with that? Companies begin to navigate, across the economy and slowly reopening. The application of AI will be extremely important for them, so they can understand how to serve the customers better. Target want to hire 130,000 new employees. Amazon just announced today, not 100,000, 150,000 new employees. Why? Because they realize that this is going to be, a permanent change in the behavior of the consumers. So AI will help the retailers and supply chain industries through machine learning, advanced data analytics. AI will help these companies by detecting new purchases and patterns, and deliver great personalized service for the online customers. The volume of the data that received from the services will be analyzed, and then you can have the profile of the customer, and you can provide them with better services, new product, new services. And this is also can be used for the prediction, when you predict the behavior of the consumers. And there's multiple levels of the AI. How can the AI used in this sense? Because we have a large amount of data, and that can be analyzed and recognized. And you're looking at images, you're looking at text, you're looking at videos, looking at speech. All of this, we need a lot of strong processing. The capabilities here will be extremely valuable for the companies, just in case something new happened, or that behavior of the customer stays the same. Also used for forecasting the consumer behavior, which become hardly predictable, and help the companies more effective when it comes to logistics. Another interesting application that I've seen it in school, a university here, San Jose State, and other universities, is the use of the chatbots. Small chat box. Every time you go to the website of any department in the university, because nobody's there during the pandemic, they program those chat boxes or chat bots so they can answer your question, and they're not a simple yes and no answer. They're actually very intelligent. It's get to the level where it's too hard for the system to understand what you say and what you want, or if you need more help, they forward your request to a human being so they can help you. But that and that can provide 24/7 help. And what I see that the chatbots will continue, because you can have them on your phone, and instead of you asking people where is this room, where there is direction, you can just talk there. And a lot of companies are actually using this one to help people find their ways. Second is the cloud computing, and what we are using now is part of the cloud computing. And cloud computing is the backbone of the internet that saved us during the pandemic. I mean, the number you see on the screen, which is 775% spike in the cloud computing services that Microsoft reported. That's amazing. I mean, I was listening to a report about this from Microsoft saying there is no marketing campaign can help us with 775% increase in our sales and demand on our for our services. And as I said, Zoom went from 26 million users per week to 300 million users in 3 months, in 90 days, and that's a huge jump for a company that was nobody knows anything about this company. And there is a story about it. In 2019, the employees of Google they petitioned the management so they can buy Zoom, because the Hangout or Google Meet really it's not up to the bar. I mean, it's actually technically they say it sucks. That's what they say. Why don't you buy this company Zoom? Because the guy who built Zoom used to work at WebEx at Cisco, and he established the company based on his experience, saying that they would like to have something simple, have the link and don't have to do anything. So he started the company. But Google refused to buy the company. And I think they regret that decision. In post-COVID-19 world, cloud computing is likely to receive a surge, and that's true. There is a lot of increase of investment, and that's one of the outcome of the virus is what we call the WFH, which is work from home, and it's a reality here in the United States. I go to the university 2 days. The rest is remote, and there's a lot of companies. They want you to only come 1 day to work, and the rest you can work from home. So how can you do this one without having the cloud computing and the abilities to work from home with all the tools available for you? And this is why cloud computing is a big technology that's going to continue. It was really big. It was really going with a certain speed, but suddenly now with the COVID-19 became one of the hottest items in the market. So it's going to continue. That's the bottom line. The demand for this technology continue to grow. The implementation of this technology in mobile application like GoToMeeting, they have their own app. Same thing with the other video conferencing. So you can see that the increase here or the demand will go up. The next one is the VR AR. I'm not a big fan of VR, virtual reality. I believe AR is more practical, but both of them are going to progress the same speed now, given the case we have with the pandemic. The VR is the virtual reality. You're going to have the goggle on your in your eyes, and you're isolated from the outside world, and you live within that universe. The AR is you impose all the virtual objects, like the Pokemon Go. That's an example of that. Microsoft is really a leader in that, and whether it's video games, you're talking about travel destination, you can explore them. All of this one will be part of the advancement here. During the search for the vaccine for COVID, the VR actually platforms used for the research, the collaboration between the different research institutions, and that's likely it's going to happen, because I know that Facebook is working on something like this, and they just announced this morning in California, they announced that they're going to hire 10,000 engineers, and data scientists, and generally staff in Europe to work on the metaverse. That's the name of the new initiative Mark Zuckerberg is talking about, which is there will be an avatar of you instead of you being there, and an avatar of the next person. You guys can meet in a certain place, and you can build your own virtual world, your office, your the furniture of the office, the color, the machines, everything. And it's like a real life. If you played video games, you know that you can build your own castle, you can build your own houses and farms, and do all these kind of things. That's just going to happen, but it's going to be really as if you work. So you can collaborate with people when it comes to the virtual reality. Facebook is budgeting about $50 billion for this project in 16 years, just to make sure that in the future you can have a virtual representation of you instead of you being in the office. 5G, which is 2020 was supposed to be the year for 5G, but because of the pandemic, the whole thing delayed. But we still have the deployment of 5G, which is the future of communication. I look at it as one of the best things that we have seen when it comes to technology, to have the 5G, because you have a bigger pipe that you can send information, pictures, videos. We have 4G here, and we have broadband. But when you talk about the 5G, it's the easiest thing when you talk about wireless communication. You have towers, you have receivers, you have repeaters, and then you go. It's not like when you have cables everywhere. Between 2020 and 2030, there will be a lot of deployment of the 5G, and a lot of hardware will change. So now even your phone, you have to get a new phone so you can use the 5G and take full advantage of the capabilities of 5G. One time I was giving a presentation about 5G, and that was in 2018, and I have this person ask me, why do we need a bigger bandwidth? This is the same question we had in 2001, 2002, when people start asking, why do we need a broadband? Now look at what we have now with the videos, with the pictures. People cannot live without it. They have it in their phone, they have it on their smart TV, they have it at work. So the same thing going to happen with 5G. You're not going to need the Wi-Fi, you need the Ethernet if you have enough bandwidth. And one of the applications I gave in that presentation, and it was sponsored by IEEE, is the emergency vehicle transporting an injured person from the accident location to the hospital. 5 minutes, 10 minutes drive can save the life of that person. If you have 5G, you can have communication with the doctor, and the doctor can do so many things. They can have an X-ray, they can do so many things within that that vehicle, because we know that the pipeline, the bandwidth is so big for us. In 10 minutes we can save the life of so many people out of accidents. So that's one of the technology that I see that is going to really prosper as we emerge out of the COVID-19. And also the other thing is when you work from home, everybody's on their phone, everybody's on the computer, that start sharing the same bandwidth. It's when you have the 5G, you have your separate lines, so you don't have to worry about about the speed or about other people are sharing or family members sharing the same bandwidth with you. And so 2020 is 5G, 2030 is 6G. Samsung and is already working on 6G. 6G is a different story. We have a research about the 6G and what the 6G gonna do. That's what I teach my students at San Jose about when we go through the wireless. But there will be no area without any coverage when you have about 6G. It's reflected from all services. You use satellite, so you cannot go somewhere and say, okay, there's no coverage, there's no signal. That's going to disappear when we talk about the 6G. Now let's talk about the interesting one, which is the voice user interface. It's called VUI. Voice user interface, you talk to the machine, Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, you name it, all those different equipment, you talk all the devices, and they will react based on that. And we touch our devices at 2,600 times per day. So instead of pressing them, we can just talk to them. And that's the new interface. And that's the interface itself, as a VUI, voice user interface, is going to replace the touch. The reason for this is 80% of our communication is verbal. And look at what I'm doing now. I'm talking to you guys and ladies here. 80%. And the other 20% is all the other senses. But the technology companies ignored that for the longest time. Now, because we have so many devices connected to the internet, and some of them don't have screens, so you have to be creative about how to program those devices. Or you just talk to them, and you see in the movies, they're talking to all those robots, and they listen and they act. Star Wars, Iron Man, all of this. They talk to the the robots, and they will listen to them and communicate with them through voice without touching anything. And that is another thing. And if you have a smart TV, you know what I'm talking about. You can talk to the remote control, and the remote control will bring the channel you're looking for, or bring the name of the show that you're looking for. The game consoles have the same thing. You can just talk to them. Light switches, appliances, all of these things, you can control them with voice instead of touching. So you are using that sense, that which is 80% of our communication. IoT, Internet of Things, an interesting technology. It's still in the growth stage. And I wrote my first book about Internet of Things. Internet of Things is actually consists of 4 parts. The first one is the sensor, the second is the network, the third is the cloud, where we have the AI or the insights, and the last one is the applications. And this is one of the things that we talk about when we talk about Internet of Things. Everything around you will have a connection, and new cars are connected to the internet. Every device we have now, there is this capability. It's a Wi-Fi ready. You have refrigerators connected to the Wi-Fi. You have dryer and washers connected to the Wi-Fi. There's an app to control them. Amazon now they're working on a camera that will be inside your refrigerator, and it's gonna scan everything you have there, so to tell you what is missing or if something expired. So, and they send you this information through the app, so we know what to buy, or they're gonna place that order by themselves if you automated this and deliver it. Tesla, the famous electrical cars, they check them. The car will check itself and see what is missing and place the order for everything there in the car. If something missing, if something need to be fixed. So, and this is all connected device. And I give this example always about the Internet of Things. When one of the reporters asked me about it, I told him, just look at this technology in this way. You wake up in the morning, you look at that mirror, and it's a smart mirror. and the mirror analyze your face and say you look sick. I already have an appointment with the doctor for you. I moved all your meetings to next week. Uber is waiting for you. You know, outside. You go to the doctor. Doctor will check you. Then you come back, and then the doctor will send the prescription to the pharmacy, and the the pharmacy will send the medication using a drone. The drone will scan your eyes to make sure you're the right person. They will give you those containers of medications, and those are smart containers. So when you open it and take one of the pills, a signal sent to the doctor, he or she took one pill. When you swallow that pill, which is a smart pill, it's going to send another signal, he or she swallow one, so they can avoid any problem of misuse of the medication. And also we talk about smart forks, the forks that we use for food that will connect it to your medical records. You try to eat something, it's going to analyze and tell you this is good for you or bad, and also going to show you how to eat in a proper way. And so many things that once you connect all the devices together, you can make so many of the things that we do as a human, it's automated. So by the end of 2019, we had 26 billion IoT devices connected, and 30 billion devices in 2020, and by 2025, 75.4 billion devices. Bottom line that you're going to find that this market is $150 billion market, and we will have 15 IoT devices for a person in the US by 2030. Now, the average number is about 5 devices per person, right? Talking about 15 in average in 10 years. Also, the related to the concept of cloud computing is something called edge computing. And edge computing is a really interesting concept, and let me explain it in a minute or less. When you talk about the cloud computing, you talk about a centralized data center where you send the information, they process it. That center could be, in your city, next city, another country, somewhere. You don't care about it because the communication can take care of it. But it takes time, and it's busy. They came up with the idea of edge computing, which is having small centers close to where the action is, and that will process the requests that they can manage, and if at the end of the day they will send the information, the analysis to the cloud, to the data centers, the big data center. There was a name for this before, we call it edge computing. Cisco brought this idea and invented the concept of edge computing. They used to call it fog computing, F-O-G, because the cloud is high in the sky. When the cloud comes close to the ground, now that's the fog, but they changed it to edge computing. But that's the whole concept, and this is good for companies like Tesla, because Tesla is a computer on wheels, so they communicate nonstop with the center, and they need answers, they need decisions. So if you have all those small distributed centers, small devices, part of the edge computing, they can just process the order quickly. A good example of the edge computing and cloud computing is like the local government and the federal government here in the United States. State and the federal government. The state is the edge computing and the federal government is the cloud. And that's going to save a lot, in latency and in the bandwidth, so many things that can be done with that. And telemedicine is an example of something like that. Cybersecurity is here to stay. There's no question about it. GDPR in Europe is implementing the privacy for the EU's citizens. So nobody can do business with any of the countries of the European Union without following the GDPR, or the punishment will be severe. Here in California, we have something which is the California Consumer Privacy Act, which is going to start in 2022, which is similar to the GDPR, but at a low level. The punishment is the fees are not that high. But cybersecurity is here to stay. There is no question about it. COVID-19 and the lockdown and people working from home, all of this one is just increased the exposure of people when it comes to when it comes to cybersecurity. At work, you have good protection because you have firewalls, you have antivirus, you have so many things associated with that. But when you are talking about working from home, not everybody had this kind of protection. There's so many things that can go wrong with this. I'll give you an example about the biggest hack of Twitter. Twitter being hacked and verify accounts, like the account of President Biden, Obama, Elon Musk, all of those famous people, and somebody took over the accounts and start sending messages asking for cryptocurrency donation, and that happened because somebody claimed that they are from the IT department of Twitter and was talking to people who work from home, the Twitter staff, and they manipulate them to they convince them to give the access to the account, and this is how the whole thing started. And it was really a big embarrassment for Twitter, but that's one of the risks that we have seen with the cybersecurity. The cybercriminals actually take advantage of the fear factor. The fear factor is, if I don't answer that email to my boss or my company, I lose my job. Also, the fear of the virus itself, fake domains for COVID-19, phishing email promising virus protection kits, information about the event like the Summer Olympics and all these. Any big event happened in the United States or in the world, scammers, cyber criminals will take advantage of it. The FBI came up with their latest statistic about the cyber crimes in 2020. $4.2 billion with a B, billion dollars lost in 2020 for cyber criminals. Out of the $4.2 billion, $2 billion only lost because the cyber criminals are using phishing email. A phishing email is an email coming from your bank, coming from a company you're dealing with, retailer, somebody, some organization, asking you to update your information. Could be the phone company, could be the utilities, electric company, and they ask you to enter your information, and they get this information and get into your account and clear it. Another outcome of the problem is the ransomware attacks. In 2021 we have multiple ones. One of them was actually in the pipeline, the Colonial Pipeline in the United States, which this pipeline, and I used to live in the East Coast for a long time, so I know that area. That pipeline is delivering gas, oil, and all the derivatives of that product from Texas all the way up to New Jersey, going through 12 states. So the criminal managed to get into the computers of the company and encrypted all the files. Encrypting, that means you cannot access it, and told the company owners, you pay us, we'll give you a decryption key. This is the ransomware about. This is the whole thing about ransomware. And ransomware is back with full power because of the cryptocurrency, because of the Bitcoin. Because in the past you have to give them cash. Now you give them just Bitcoin and they can cash it anywhere outside the United States. It's and it's an easy way for your digital money. The second one is the meat packaging company in the United States. It's a Brazilian company with 15 factories in 15 countries. But here in the United States, it's about 25% of the chickens that consumed by the by Americans is done by packaged by this company. So they managed to get into their systems the criminals, and they encrypted all the files, and they have to pay them the ransomware so they can give them the decryption fee, the encryption key. The last one is the blockchain technology. And before I even go through how the blockchain technology interacted and dealt with the COVID-19, what is blockchain? Blockchain is a distributed ledger. It's like a ledger is not database, but it's a small version of database. I'll give you a simple example to understand the technology of blockchain, and that was the topic of my second book. If you work at this company, and this company has this building, and in this building there are 100 people working there, and in order for anybody to get into that building, there is a security guard, and that security guard will have a tablet, name and picture. So if I go there and trying to get in, he or she will look at my name and picture and say, "I'm sorry, your name is not there. You can't get in." If I have permission, then he or she will let me in. This is what we have now as centralized systems, which is username and password. If I manage to fool that security guard, if I manage to manipulate, bribe that security guard, I can get in. That's what happened with the hacking. Once I am in, nobody cares. I can do whatever I want. This is the current system we have, which is username, password, and you're in. If everybody in that building have the same tablet as the security guard with the same information, and I manage to get in, then the first person I'm going to meet, he or she going to look at the tablet and try to find my picture. And if they couldn't find my picture, they're going to talk to them. "Can you check this for me, please? Can you check this for me, please?" And the same thing happened. And after a certain number of people confirming that I'm not in the system, they will kick me out of the building. So how can you apply this one to information? Your information will be on multiple computers, thousands of computers, encrypted, and those computers are connected through some kind of protocol, and that's the blockchain technology. So in order for you to change anything, you have to convince thousands of computers to change that information. And the minute you start convincing 1 or 2 and 3, there is a protocol to check that somebody is trying to change the information, and that will stop it. And that's the whole thing about the blockchain. So once you have information inside, and blockchain is a software, just so we understand what we're talking about. It's a software. Once I type the information inside that software, it's programmed in any programming language. You can have your blockchain. So I'll have the names, and I want to send this money to this person. The copy of the transaction will be saved on 10,000 computers. So nobody can change this one and say, instead of sending $1,000, I'm going to change it so to be $500. I can take the extra. And that is the reason for it, because that's why the blockchain is very solid for the trust factor. Give the information, nobody can change it. Let's go back, look at the blockchain technology, how it's really helped with the COVID-19 crisis. It's actually revealed that a general lack of connectivity and data exchange built into the global supply chain, which is still suffering until now. In order for us to have a resilience in the future, you have to build transparent, interoperable and connective networks. If there's any kind of a doubt about the blockchain platform improving transparency, because you enter the information, nobody can change it. For example, if you are sending this ship with 50,000 boxes, and everything is done through scanning. So you scan the barcodes at 50,000. The next port will scan it, and it is not 50,000, it is 45,000. Immediately we know that where this happened, because you can compare it to the one before, and nobody can change it. It's not under the hands of one person who can change that information. And to understand how the blockchain helped with COVID, there are actually four areas: tracking the infectious disease outbreaks, donation tracking, crisis management, and secure the medical supply chains. So let's visit each one of them. Now, for the infectious disease outbreaks, to track them, blockchain can use to track the public health data, vaccination, you know, any kind of the number of the people who have the virus, infectious disease outbreaks such as COVID-19. And because once you have that information, nobody can change it, you are sure about it. If I get my vaccination and I'm part of that network, just enter that information, it's going to stay there. Nobody can change that information. More accurate reporting and efficient response. It's not going to, blockchain as a software is not going to treat the disease itself, but it can help develop treatment swiftly, processing the data, enabling the early detection of the symptoms, and enable the government to keep track of where is the breakout of the cases in different places, and they can understand the source of that problem. They can do some analysis about it. They can look at it and say, okay, we have to isolate this, instead of having this blanket decision about just lock down everything. If we have this information, you can pinpoint at the source of trouble. When people donate, their main concern is transparency. What happened to my money? If I am donating that much money, where's that going to go? Because you are tracking every step and documenting that one in the blockchain, in the ledger itself. If I donate $100, I can see where that $100 goes for every single step. And it's going to tell me that if it's reached the destination or the people who are really interested in that. So donor can see where funds are mostly urgently required, track their own donations until they provide with verification for their contributions. Blockchain would be enable transparency. So trust, transparency is a key thing when it comes to blockchain. General public to understand how their donation has been used, because that is the fear of a lot of them. Now, crisis management, and this is the one that I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about it. How can you manage crisis like the COVID-19 situation? There is a concept called smart contract. A smart contract, again, is a software that you add it to the blockchain. And it's a software where you decide when the blockchain information will be taken, will be recorded, based on certain events. Let's see how that goes. The World Health Organization, who using the smart contract concept, not only it can alert, but blockchain could also enable to provide government with recommendation of how to contain the virus. Here's an example. If we have one network, and this network is built on the blockchain, where government cannot change it, organization cannot change the information, individuals cannot change the information, and as many hospitals we have in the world will be part of that network, and they just feed it with the cases every day. We can have the smart contract saying this, and smart contract is, again, it's a software, it's a program. If you see over 1,000 cases at a certain hospital in the world that be registered to this network, you raise the flag, you send an alert to everybody, so we can just contain it in where it is, instead of everybody shutting down their borders. It could offer a secure platform concerning authorities such as government, medical organization, and others, so about the situation to prevent it from worsening and further without censorship, because some organization or some government can just hide that information, but it's coming from the hospitals. and straight to the network, the World Health Organization can help with that. The supply chain, the medical supply chain. And the supply chain, we use the blockchain. It's used by IBM, it's used by Walmart, used by big organizations. I can give you a list of the companies that are using the supply chain based on blockchain. When you send the goods, when you send the products, each one of them with the barcode will transfer the information into the blockchain. So by the end of the of the whole movement of the goods, we know exactly where we missed it, or if it's the same or something is missing, and that will help in this thing. Things that can be useful in reviewing, recording, tracking of demand, supply, logistics, and epidemic preventions. Multiple parties, the entire process of the recording and verification, tamper-proof by every party while allowing anyone to track it. Okay, so I'm done with my presentation. This is my LinkedIn. You are more than welcome to join me at LinkedIn. I have 43,000 followers. This is my email at San Jose State, and this is my Twitter handle if you want to follow me on Twitter. I'm gonna stop the sharing and see the questions if there is any question. Thank you so much for this. Okay. Okay, so let me see the questions. You know, I'm an old man, and it's very hard to read the questions. So, first questions that, according to the IoT, do you think, depending on it, can some of the illegal persons misuse this technology to control people, and how we avoid hacking to our private life? The exception is more advanced technologies will have some negative. Yes, the answer yes. I mean, if it's in the wrong hands, you're right. There are so many cases, there's so many stories I can tell them about it, about how hacking into those devices, like the famous example, they can hack into your car and drive your car in a different way, and that will be a problem. That's why you need good encryption. You need a good cybersecurity protection for that. The more devices we have, the more we are exposed. But cybersecurity is a race. If you're smart, there's somebody else who's smarter than you. So you have to keep up with the process. Please elaborate more on smart. Oh, smart contract is part of the blockchain. It's a software. For example, if you would like to, I'll give you a good example of this, and it's a real story. In Canada, this guy, he was an investor, and he has about $107 million investment for people, collected money from people, and he invested in the in cryptocurrency. And he has his account in something we call the hot wallet. Hot wallet is your account connected to the internet. And he died. And if you ever dealt with cryptocurrency wallet, nobody can get into that one unless you have something called the private key. And the private key is a number which is about 36 digits and letters. And nobody knows that one. The money is still there. Nobody can touch it. Nobody can get it. Smart contract, if we apply the smart contract to this situation, if I will write the program that if the GPS of the phone of this person, the manager, is not in the office for a week, copy of the private key will be sent to 4 people we trust. If his car is not in the parking place for 3 days, the copy will be sent of the private key to certain people. So you have condition for actions that will protect, the case of the blockchain. Okay, any other? Okay, let me see after the information. With information, you're welcome. Okay, let's see the other question is, I think that online education is not the best solution for the future. According to my personal experience with my kids, and interaction is very important for. Yes, this is a very good point about online. You have to understand there is a difference, a big difference between online education and using Zoom for education. I teach online classes at Purdue University, at University of Massachusetts. It's completely different. I designed the course for the online environment, which is completely different than just lecturing and then watching what the students doing, and that's it. That's a distance learning. Online experience is completely different when it comes to a course that designed for the online classes. And a lot of universities, they have it. They have start from Harvard to Stanford. This January I'm going to teach an online class at Stanford in blockchain technology. So, and I designed that class, so I know exactly what. I don't have any tests. I have projects. So put this one aside. I was talking to this reporter from Washington Post. He came to visit the school, and I talked to him about the future of education. The case of using the VR or the AR, the augmented reality for education, VR for education, where you don't have to leave your house. You can have the same interaction. You wear that goggle, and then you're in the classroom, and the professor will be in the classroom, and you can get the same interaction like any other part. But we are not there yet. That's going to take another 10 years to get and have that kind of technology at the university. The labs all in person. Any class that below 50 student has to be in person. Anything above 50 should be through the online. So I agree with you about how that one is really important. You're welcome. Okay. To deliver the lecture to the German. Talk to Muhammad, see about that. I'll be more than happy to do that. This session is also great. Please send us but I will send the copy of the PowerPoint. I'll send it to Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad, and then he can share it with you guys. From the job and hiring perspective, for senior people working on legacy technologies, how to step up into those opportunities while prior technology experience in this domain is usually required for. Yeah, I mean, cloud computing will be a good one, because legacy system is there. In the United States, there is the government and the bank still using COBOL, using mainframes, AS400, they still use it. You have the knowledge of the network to go to the next level, which is the cloud computing is a good thing that people can, and there is a lot of certification in that field. What do you think are the success factor for blockchain technology implementation in emerging countries, and are there related hardware and infrastructure? Yes, look at the United Arab Emirates. This is a very good example about how the implementation of blockchain. They have a very good team or teams there working in that. It has to come with the support from the governments, because this is a big project. And also, when you talk about something like this, you talk about something called private blockchain. Private blockchain can be offered by companies like IBM, Amazon, Microsoft, and they will give you a solution, a package solution there. Yes, the presentation, I'll send it to Dr. Muhammad and he'll give it to you guys. Is the method the Egyptian Health Ministry took to know population who took the vaccine by registering it on a website is blockchain technology. No, I mean, I don't know what they're using, but the blockchain technology, you can have it on a website, and what happened in the background, that's a different thing. But I haven't heard about a project of registration, in the Middle East that use blockchain for the registrations for people there. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Somebody correct me. You're welcome. What they use for, it's not a question, it is a comment. I think that it is. IT will be kind of caring. Like, that's correct. Yes, absolutely. That's a good example about it. I agree. IoT is like your mom, this one currently state that 4-factor Okay, it's actually for components of the IoT, which is the sensors, the network, the cloud, and the applications. I want to learn how to make safe search on the net sites and to learn how to use search engines. Just go in the stealth mode, or there is another search engine called DuckDuckGo. You can try that, and that's it's a private mode. You can do it. That will be very helpful. Okay. Okay, so are we done? Mohammed, we're done?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, see you guys. Thank you. Ma salam.